You're listening to the Incomparables Total Party Kill podcast, in which a group of friends play Dungeons & Dragons on the internet for your amusement. This is episode number 413, recorded January 2022, posted August 2023. Dog Duty.
Welcome back to Total Party Kill. It's me, Tony Sindelar, a dungeon master, he, him. Today, we are continuing one of our Candlekeep adventures. That's right, it's Book of the Raven, a book that doesn't really have a title so much as identified as Book of the Raven because it was given to you by a raven. Our adventures have gone on a bit of a wild goose raven chase over across the countryside, looking for the site of alleged treasure. Did they find alleged treasure? Not yet. They found a dilapidated house full of were-ravens and a weird, spooky graveyard next to it. Allow me to introduce our players, they'll introduce their characters, and then maybe I'll say more about what's happening so far. First up, it's Monty Ashley.
Hi, I'm Monty Ashley, he, him. I am playing Townley Mountain Taker, also he, him, a warlock for the Queen of Air and Darkness.
Next up, Aline Sims.
Hello, I play Bellin Greybeard, the Mountain Dwarf fighter. Oh, pronouns are she, her, for both of us.
Thank you, Aline. Also joining us, James Thompson.
I'm playing Nyasa Nightweaver, she, her, who is a high elf rogue who has definitely read Pet Sematary at some point.
I have not. Also joining us, Annette Wierstra.
Hello, she, her, playing Kakara, who is an Aarakocra ranger.
And last but certainly not least, welcome back, Nick Scott.
All right, I am playing Neural, who is a human barbarian, and both of us are he, him.
Thank you, adventurers and players. So, you currently are standing in the graveyard next to Chalet Brantifax. Considering your next moves, you have identified there are four graves in this sad, decrepit little graveyard. The Baron, his dog, and I believe you've identified the other two as the two daughters, though one seems to have a very memorable name. Seems like perhaps just a coincidence that the name on this last gravestone appears to be the name of the raven that gave you a book with a treasure map inside that sent you on a quest. I don't really know what's going on. I might know a little bit more than I'm letting on, but there's a lot I don't know.
They named the raven after the daughter.
Reference acknowledged.
Well,
so adventurers, I believe you were debating your next steps with regard to what are we going to do here. Members of the Scarlet Sashes, a group of were-ravens that seems to be keeping watch over this place, are lingering nearby because they have informed you that this graveyard is a shadow crossing that undead seem to pop out every night, and they are waiting there patiently to dispatch them when that appointed hour strikes. I don't know what else you're going to do.
I think we're going to give some berries.
Healing. Yes. So
our adventurers have recognized that some of you are hurt.
Well, one of us in particular who fell down.
One of you is hurt from getting banged around climbing down a well.
Yep. So I'm going to eat the 10 good berries.
I made them into a little, mash for you so you could eat them easily. I crushed them in my claws, and I gave you a mash of berries.
Does Neural not have teeth? Is this
Not now.
She's helping.
Oh God! Yeah,
That's how she likes her good berries.
Did you take all of your that 13 well damage in the mouth? Is that what you did?
He hit his head.
I mean,
but teeth first.
She's just not delicate with.
At least Kakara isn't feeding him in bird to bird style.
Yeah, no.
If they set up a sort of a treadmill between the graves and the house, then these undead that come up every night could power it.
Sir, if you were trying to create a perpetual motion machine, I think that there's another group of were creatures that will seek you out and punish you for violating the laws of thermodynamics.
Laws of thermodynamics in D&D?
The Temple of God takes them very seriously.
Explain how a human turns into a raven and back. Where's all the extra meat go?
Just like that, says the avatar of God pointing at the were-raven. Like that.
Did we bury the locket, by the way?
I don't know. You were discussing it.
We were thinking it might be wise to heal you before we did anything potentially
Sounds
right
triggery.
So what do we want to do first? Dig up the dog or bury the...
I mean, I think one of us can do dog duty, one of us on locket duty, and then we'll get out of here the second the ground starts.
I think locket duty first, then desecrate the grave.
Yeah. Okay, so Kakara, would you like to...
I'll do it. I can fly out of range quickly, so if something happens. Okay. So I kind of dig a little hole, and I put the locket in and cover it up.
Okay. Let me ask a classic Dungeon Master question everybody loves to hear. Kakara, you're doing this to the Baron's grave, correct?
Yes.
Where approximately is everybody else while this happens?
I'm standing next to her, just by the grave.
Neural, you're standing right next to Kakara, right by the grave.
Is it
Townley?
Is it the third grave?
It's the first
one.
Oh, well, I'm unfortunately on the other side. But the grave is between me and the door.
I'm standing where I have placed myself on the map.
All right, so within the graveyard, but not immediately next to a grave. All right, Nyasa?
I am standing on top of the dog grave.
Bellin?
I thought I had my token where I wanted to be, but now, well, what's my speed? I think I want to stay where I am, kind of to the, what would that be, southeast of the Baron's grave and the dog's grave.
Okay, a respectful distance back.
Yeah, like I'm still in range. If something comes up, I'm still in range of pretty much everything in the graveyard, so I can run pretty quickly. So I think I'm going to stay right where I am.
All right.
I'm pretty good at acrobatics, so I figure I'll backflip out of this grave area.
All right, so Kakara, you dig a little hole in the grave and place the locket there?
Yes, and then I cover it.
Cover it back up. You know, you are standing in a dreary graveyard next to a dreary, dilapidated hunting lodge in the middle of nowhere at the end of a strange journey that a bird sent you on. But for a moment, you're kind of filled with like a sense of purpose and like just like a feeling of goodness, like the sense that you have done something good and important in the world. And everybody that is standing around the grave, which I'm going to count as Neural, Nyasa, and Kakara, gain the benefits of a charm of heroism for laying the Baron to rest. This is a charm from the I believe this is from the player's handbook. What's great about this charm, it says, this charm allows you to give yourself the benefits of a potion of heroism as an action. And then you go and say, like, okay, now I've got to look up what a potion of heroism looks like. So this is one of those great things where you look something up and it basically says, go look this up thing up next. So I will do that for you.
Yeah. Potion of heroism, it says here, is a potion that gives you the qualities of being a hero. So now I have to look up what a hero is.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh, did you
I was just saying I found that you gain 10 temporary hit points for 1 hour.
I believe you also are under the effects of the Bless spell, which you can then look up. So the Bless spell, whenever you make an attack or a saving throw for that hour, you can roll a d4 and add that d4 to the roll. So the three of you who dared to stand right over the grave have that. Keep track of that. That's basically a one-time boon that you would activate and then get for an hour. So you might, either in the midst of a battle choose to activate that, or going into a battle choose to activate it. It costs an action for you to use it, but it gives you temporary hit points, and it would buff all of your attacks for an hour. An hour is potentially more than one fight, but certainly an entire fight, because a fight is usually less than a minute, because each round of a fight is but 6 seconds. Okay, so you have planted the locket, and you get the sense that you have probably laid the Baron's ghost to rest, and that perhaps the Baron was somehow caught between here, with the Baron buried here without his locket, the locket being where he died in that well.
So all problems solved.
Anything? Are we digging up the dog now or what?
Yeah, we're gonna do the dog.
Yep, we're gonna do the dog.
All right.
I was going to point out, I asked that not knowing that you guys had gotten the feeling that the Baron had been laid to rest.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking like
That's true. It's like,
do we
if
dig
we
the
feel
dog
that,
up?
do we still need to do it? Do we need to check if he's still like in the well?
That's a good idea.
No, I think
Yeah.
that's been confirmed. Like we
Yeah, I'm
are.
going
I
to go
get-
into the basement.
You know, here, let me help you. A familiar voice whispers to the five of you, "Thank you."
See,
I
he
don't-
he
I
loved
don't
the
think we
wife
need
the
to go for the
most.
Aw,
This was the
after all.
yeah.
Maybe
We
his wife's name was Bjorn.
So I don't think we need to dig up any graves at this point.
You don't need to, but do you want to?
I look at this shovel in my hand. I guess you're right.
when all you have is a shovel, everything looks like a grave.
So is that it? Are we done here?
I suspect. Well, I think we have to deal with the identity of our mysterious raven benefactor.
It's Haluth. He said.
Well, yeah, but
Here's the question: do we need to get the Scarlet Sash out of his house?
I mean,
Well,
I
mean,
don't. I don't
Haluth
Do
seems
we
to be a
want to
daughter,
help
just
the
FYI.
the Scarlet Sash get rid of whatever's haunting them every
I think
every
everybody
night?
really needs to sit around a table and have a discussion. This is how all best D&D adventures end.
It may
Who's
be
in this
that
grave that's marked Haluth? If
it may be time for a an important meeting, but it is also clearly just about midnight. The full moon illuminates the graveyard. Madrina and Vinique come kind of scurrying back into the graveyard, scoop up their shovels and swords that they had left in the corner, and wait expectantly over the grave to the south.
So good news. Remember that well we told you about? Not haunted
Yep.
anymore.
Oh, thanks. Probably good for property values. It's appreciated.
Yep.
And I'm sure you feel better about that too.
Yeah, I feel quite heroic.
Somewhere an owl hoots in the woods, perhaps.
you guys
an
know
owl
him?
that has a really great. That is offensive, but also yes, he's our neighbor, and we do know.
I mean, I'm just saying, you guys
Yeah.
are birds. He's a bird in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah, that owl keeps track of the time for us.
Sure.
So there's no church bells to strike at midnight or clock tower, but clearly it is the darkest of night, and you hear kind of a strange muffled growling noise. The earth is churning at the southernmost grave. Vinique and Madrina stand there kind of with a weary sense of familiarity on their beaky faces. Two pairs of arms and eventually gaping mouths of undead creatures kind of push through the dirt, and they kind of, with tired efficiency, stab each of them in the head and then dig out the body.
I guess that was a different curse then.
That was
Yeah,
from
like
the
I'm saying,
southern
I don't
grave.
think. Yep.
Who's buried in the southern grave?
The southern gravestone is marked Sylphine.
Do we want to have a little... I mean, we seem completely unfazed by this whole undead slaughter.
Apparently,
We're
It's
just
gonna take them
standing
a little bit of
around.
time. It seems like they basically don't leave the undead there kind of half buried. So obviously they took advantage of the fact that the undead were literally having to kind of climb out of a grave to easily dispatch them, but are now taking the time to kind of disinter them, and I don't know, whatever you do with an undead body, but they don't like leaving it there. So they're just hanging out there with their shovels. Feel free to chat with them.
Like we're just leaning against a fence, kind of watching this.
Yeah.
Are there any identifying things on the undead bodies? Like, is there old armor or something?
One of them does seem to have some kind of it's ancient. It looks like it was probably leather that is kind of completely rotting away, but it seems like it is some kind of military style logo on it or a crest. And you can kind of make out, it looks like kind of like a griffin or some kind of thing in flight, and behind it a stylized castle with two big towers.
Castle Griffin, I know it well.
Do we want to tell them to pick up their boys?
I mean, I think there's probably... We should figure out why this is happening in this particular location. It's not to do...
I agree. I'm curious about this, and I feel some affinity for these birds. I would like to help them solve this problem because it seems
pretty tedious if you have to do this every night.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like a huge deal. It's like watering the plants or walking the dog.
You can't go on holiday or anything. You know, you're going to have to have a grave sitter come round.
Yeah, and what are the going rates for that? How do you?
Yeah, I mean, or you come back like 2 weeks later and the little pen is just full of them.
Hey guys, if you don't kill them, what do they specifically do? Do they just shamble around looking for flesh of the living to eat, or
That's mainly what they do.
They're not on a quest or anything?
Can they get out of the fence, or are they kind of confined in the fence?
Well, you know, we've kind of patched up the fence a little bit and made it so you can lock the gate. It wasn't like that when we first got here. So yeah, they used to kind of wander around and people would deal with them in the countryside. But you know, we don't want to have to deal with, you know, it seems safest to deal with them two at a time.
Yeah, it's a pest problem, but
so if you leave them, then 2 more come and then there's 4 and just so on.
Exactly.
Wow.
You could do something with that infinite resource of mass.
That's what I'm saying,
something
right?
We would have ever heard of this before.
Like,
no, this is pretty strange. I don't think any of you have heard of the idea of a shadow crossing. I mean, some of you may be familiar with the idea that there are kind of like different realms or different lands that one could go to and various magical ways that one could do it. It seems unusual that there would just be a grave that spits out two zombies a day.
We could see what was on the other side.
So you're saying now you want to climb into the grave?
Of death?
Well, I mean, I'm curious.
I mean, I'm game to watch you do this.
I was thinking Neural might like to do
it. I don't like going in the earth. That is not my thing.
Tony, I have a question.
Yeah.
The book that the map was drawn in was the first-hand account written in common of an anonymous author.
Mm-hmm.
It ends with a description of the castle's dreadful countenance. Does that description match at all the castle in this logo?
Oh, yeah. There's specifically 2 huge spires, one with kind of a flat top and one with a pointy roof.
That's interesting because that's the only thing that this book, aside from the map, has to do with anything that's happened to us. Just to recap, this woman fell off her horse and broke her leg and was befriended by Vistani travelers. And then it goes into the Vistani way of life, crackling fires on cold nights, wolves howling in the dead of night, ravens pecking at the roof of the wagon in the wee hours of the morning. That might be relevant. Late in the book, the author wrote of being able to hobble around on crutches. The caravan traveled a winding mountain road to the gates of a tall, dark castle. And then suddenly it ends. Like the book was snatched from her while she was in the middle of a sentence.
So do we need to go to the tall, dark castle?
I hope. I mean, I would rather go to a tall, dark castle than, no offense, guys, just a rundown, mildly haunted house.
Formerly haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, it's not even haunted. Excellent.
Well, I mean, it does have a sort of undead problem.
This is haunted. The grounds are haunted. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're still on the map.
We're still accredited, yeah.
I mean, I think there's a technical difference between haunting and necromancy.
So do you guys know where this castle is?
You're asking the Were-Ravens?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rennick did find a letter on one of the ghouls a couple of weeks back. Not somewhere I've ever heard of. You ever heard of a place called Barovia?
Oh, I was
not
wondering.
Barovia.
I don't think any of you have ever heard of Barovia.
I have been wondering when I heard about the Vistani. Belen, blissfully ignorant. Aline, very aware of Barovia.
Aline has seen some things. But Belen,
Aline has seen some things.
Fresh-eyed, full of hope. Yeah.
Sounds very far away.
So, I mean...
There was a letter on one guy? That's interesting.
Somebody sending messages? Like, is this
well,
a postal
I assume
system?
before...
So people are dying somewhere else and coming out here.
Something like that.
That's neat.
So we could use this to create, like, some kind of telegraph system.
Yes.
I like this.
I suppose. Our best guess is that there's probably some kind of graveyard on the other side of the Shadow Crossing.
Yeah, like, is it possible to cross the Shadow Crossing in the other direction?
That's what I was saying. But nobody
we tried that once. The guy we sent over didn't come back.
Maybe it was
Maybe
nicer
Barovia is
there.
nice.
I don't think so, because it seems to have a lot of undead in it.
Did he come back with a letter?
It doesn't. The undead come here, obviously.
I guess. I think you may have a different understanding of what's at work here than I do.
As I said, we're very experienced in these matters. Nyasa bluffs.
And you have dug up these graves to see what's inside them. Like you haven't seen.
Oh yeah, this grave is empty.
Sylphine's grave is empty.
Correct.
So we just have to find Sylphine and put her in the grave.
Yes,
It's possible.
that makes sense.
Did we?
I mean, she
pick
may
up-
be on the other side of the crossing.
Or maybe she's another were-raven.
I don't know a Sylphine.
Did you dig up all the graves? Was there a body in this one? And I point to Haluth's tombstone.
We checked them. It's yes. There was a body in each of the other ones.
Because
There's
I'll
a dog,
tell you,
dog body in that second one over there.
the raven that said that there were squatters in his house, which I guess is you guys. He said his name was Haluth.
Townley, you seem like a nice guy, but just checking. Has any of your friends seen this raven you keep talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
I
I've seen
have.
the raven.
I can vouch for him.
we did.
Saw a raven, but it looked like a regular raven, not in any of your other forms.
But, you know,
Maybe he was
Doesn't
just reincarnated as a raven.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen weirder things in my time with the Scarlet Sashes.
Have you guys noticed a regular non-wear raven around, like giving you the side eye?
I have not, and we know all the ravens around here.
the owl tells them if anyone's sniffing around. That owl is a real busybody.
A raven flaps across the moonlit night sky, and Madrina says, "That's Greg."
Maybe Greg
I say,
knows.
"Hey, Craig," in Raven. Caw, 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 caw.
Greg calls back. Caw, 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 caw. Sup?
I think you should
Go on,
have an
tell him sup.
interrogation.
I'm like,
He kind of did it in that thing where he's saying sup, but he didn't slow down. He just kept going. So that's the like, he's not actually asking
run
sup.
by.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Does any would we
Vinique and
know-
Madrina have almost finished. They've got the two undead bodies out there, and they're kind of stripping them for any items of interest. Doesn't seem like they've got much on them. It looks like they're ready to drag them out of the graveyard. And you notice that there's a pile of lumber nearby. It looks like they're probably going to burn the bodies.
Do you think maybe that statue might help us cross the Shadow Crossing, the one they didn't want us to keep? I asked them this. Yes.
I mean, if you think it'll help, I'd be happy to lend it to you for a bit.
like, why do you say it's bad news?
Well, Orcus is the demon prince of undeath.
Maybe if we give him the statue back, he'll be.
I don't think you want to meet Orcus.
And we could mail it to him.
I mean,
Does the post office go there?
I don't think you really want him aware of your comings and goings.
we could bury that in the grave. Maybe that would put a stop to
All
it.
problems can be solved. Maybe if we bury the pewter spork in one of them, it'll do something.
Exactly.
We can.
Let's
we
just
can
bury all this
either
stuff.
Use
Farm
pewter
them
spork
with
on grave.
sporks,
It's not a Lucas
or
Adventure game.
turn them
everybody.
into demon gowls, which somehow is worse than regular gowls. Like their eyes glow, maybe lasers or something.
Maybe we could all just become were-ravens. And...
I
true,
really
we
want to
could.
see Kakara be a were-raven. I think
I
that would
know-
look
I have-
amazing.
I have questions
She
about that.
sort of agrees and has been contemplating
Well,
it.
but it's gonna be because a were-raven is a human who's been given.
That is racist.
Well,
So you're
I mean-
saying it is impossible for me to become a raven, like
Wait.
a Arakork or a were-raven?
I think you could
Humans
be
are
an
the only creatures that can become lycanthropes? That's
No.
weird.
but it seems like I mean, I think obviously Kakara could become a were-raven, but I think your forms would really just be your form that you have now, or a full raven form, right?
Or,
I don't
maybe
think you have
full
a-
Be sort of
human
cool,
form.
though.
Maybe
But I
you
don't-
could-
No, it wouldn't be
No,
human. It would
that
be
you
like
need to
a
be
raven
given. Yeah,
or an Aarakocra.
Well,
Yeah.
what happens if a raven becomes a were-raven?
I don't think a raven can become a were-raven. This is that whole jackal-were scenario again, where somebody wrote in to let us know that the reasons that jackal-wares are jackal-wares and not were-jackals is they start lives as jackals versus starting life as a humanoid that gets infected with jackal, whatever the jackal equivalent of lycanthropy is. We're covering important ground here, people.
Yeah.
We're just standing around
processing
it.
all of this.
Yeah.
I'm like
Standing in a graveyard at midnight preparing to
Yeah.
burn some bodies,
discussing
having
whether
a,
or not
a
I
chat.
can be.
Yeah. Smoking some closed cigarettes and listening to some bad techno. I've been there. So
Oh yeah.
19 all over again. What do you want to do next, adventurers? Where does your thirst for adventure take you?
I think go through the shadow crossing. Go to the other
Yeah.
side. See what's over there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the worst that could happen to whoever goes first?
I'll do
Maybe
it.
I
The
can
Queen
be a
of Air and
were-raven.
Darkness will protect me.
So Madrina and Vanique head back. The two undead bodies are smoldering over on the other side of the yard, and they kind of dust off their feathery hands and say, "So, what are you thinking? Because we're gonna head in for the night if unless there's something else to be done here."
Tell us about the Scarlet Sash.
Well, it's an organization of were-ravens that goes back many years. We protect the world from sources of darkness, mainly in the form of artifacts and other objects that we choose to keep hidden away so that bad interlopers don't have them and use them for bad things.
Oh, well, thank you.
Also, we protect places like this Shadow Crossing, and well, this was kind of a big deal when we found this. Not gonna lie.
Do you know how to cross a shadow crossing?
Yeah, as we said, one guy tried it once, and that was kind of a failed experiment, and that we never saw him again. But we could dig up this grave, and you lie down in it, and
What if
we think you
tied a
probably
rope?
wake up in another grave wherever this connects to. There's
That sounds
probably-
amazing. Let's do it.
All right, friend. Madrina and Vanique start shoveling in the grave out with the kind of energy you expect from somebody who wants to get this done before Townley changes his mind.
Should we tie a rope to Townley?
It is the sky is starting to get kind of overcast. The full moon is behind the clouds, and there's kind of a fog seeping in that kind of seems to roll into the open grave. After it's probably takes them a good half hour to dig out this grave. It helps that the earth is loose from continual undead rising up from it, and perhaps they've dug it out before. But Vanique and Madrina,
That's good for the soil.
yeah, stand there looking with their shovels up on their shoulders, kind of looking at you expectantly and say, "So, the way it works, you lie down in there, you'll wake up somewhere else. There's probably, we figure these undead are coming from somewhere. Something's stirring them up. I suppose if you were able to deal with that, it would probably be good."
Great. When I come back, because I will definitely succeed and come back, don't kill me as soon as I crawl my way out. Make sure I'm undead first.
You got it. Vanique kind of salutes with one feathery arm.
Do
and
we want to send Townley all by himself to do
No,
this?
I think Nyasa's going to jump into this grave as well because I don't know what the max.
Hello.
It's like we all just want
Is
to
it
pile in,
grave
go
for
together.
two.
A pile of bodies.
Madrina says, "Look, I'm not going to pretend I totally understand how this thing works, but my guess is you want to be back before sunrise."
Good tip.
Okay,
All right.
so
Somebody set up their watch to.
All right. So Townley, you are first. You lie down in the grave, and it's
Nyasa on
cold. No, I think it's a one at a time situation, people.
Well, I mean,
okay, fine.
You
that
lie down
crossing
in the
can be
grave.
cold.
The cold fog kind of rolls in around you, and it kind of fogs your vision as it does because it's fog. And as you kind of blink, and when your eyes clear, you are looking up at a night sky that is different from the one that you were seeing but moments ago. The sound of the space is different, and as you kind of clamber to your feet, you realize that you are standing in an open grave in a different graveyard from the one you were in but moments ago. Nyasa, I assume you're next.
Yeah, she's me next, pushing the others out the way to get into a grave.
And am I to assume that each of you will then do this one by one?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
We can't split the party.
Each of you
Again.
finds yourself in a different grave. It seems to be conveniently 5 open graves in a strange small graveyard. It is night wherever you are, but it smells and sounds a little bit differently. The air is very cold here. The moon's still full. A howl of darkness, howl of a wolf somewhere in the darkness in the distance, and indeed, up on a cliffside, far, far in the distance, is a rather impressive, dreadful-looking tower, dreadful-looking castle with 2 towers. A castle you could think of as some kind of loft for some kind of bird, but we won't get into that today. So assuming I've done it correctly, you're all looking at a map of a graveyard. This graveyard in this kind of significantly more involved than the graveyard you started in. Lots of graves here. It seems to be rather desolate and abandoned. There is a mausoleum a ways away. Lots of kind of statuary type things. Multiple kind of tiers to the graveyard with steps leading up and down from them. Yes, that's the graveyard.
Cool.
So we brought that little statue, didn't we?
Sure.
Well, I'm gonna check out this. See what.
Yeah.
What is
All right.
this little thing that I'm looking at to my left?
Nyasa climbs out of the grave and starts wandering around the graveyard. You arrive. There's a seems like a kind of more prominent grave than others. And it's got kind of a statue of a hooded figure standing over the memorial to the person.
Well, nothing creepy about statues.
I want to.
Takara, you're climbing around, looking around. Too.
I want to go over to look at like this building that is.
All right, there's a
probably
mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
Yeah, give me a quick perception check.
I rolled a 21.
Oh, wow. You're studying it. So it's a big, or it's a substantial sized mausoleum. Looks like it's probably like 30 by 30 feet. It's got kind of I keep wanting to use words that wouldn't make any sense in D&D world. It's like, it's bigger than a garage. It has Romanesque architecture. It's like those words don't work. It has a triangular kind of shaped front thing over the entryway. There are 2 rather ornate gargoyles perched on each corner. There's an old rusted gate blocking your entrance inside. You can see that there's kind of a one central room, and it looks like there are passageways off of that to other rooms of the mausoleum. Carved in fancy lettering above the gate, roughly where you're standing, is the name Harn, Harrn.
Always an extra R in these guys.
Well, Dungeons and Dragons. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm just going to look around these gravestones here. Are there any look at for names or anything I can
Sure.
recognize?
Give me a quick perception check.
And 12.
You're poking at some of the graves that you popped out of. In fact, don't even have names set in them yet, as if they were there waiting in preparation for. It is strange that there do seem to be this set of open graves you all appeared in. All the other graves in your vicinity seem to be occupied.
And I'm also going to go have a look up at this casket up here.
Yep. There's a big kind of stone platform that's sealing in perhaps some kind of resting place for multiple where multiple people might be laid to rest. It looks like there's some kind of family name that was etched into it at some point, but weather has kind of worn it away. A lot of the graves around here are kind of overgrown and weeds and scraggly trees kind of interrupting everything. Bellin, did you want to do something?
I think I'm just gonna kind of go toward what I think is the graveyard main entrance.
Okay. It does look like there is kind of a stone low wall that encompasses this area. It actually looks like you're just in like kind of like maybe the inner section of the graveyard, as you can see kind of more rows of graves beyond that. So this is a rather impressive graveyard situation here with sections and areas of graves. There's some wrought iron fences that have long since fallen off their hinges and are just kind of lying in the dirt by the path here heading to the east.
Well, everybody remember where we parked.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to look at the graves we came out of. See if they have any interesting names or anything.
We should make sure that we go back in the same graves we came out of. Otherwise, it could be a body swap situation. Or...
Yeah, you don't want that. Freaky Friday. Got it. You keep track of which graves you came out of.
Okay.
Little post-it.
Kakara forgot already.
Well, we all left from one grave, so I'm really interested in what's going to happen when we go back.
Townley, you're looking around at four of the graves have empty blank headstones, but indeed the one that you came out of does seem to have a name. It's very faded, but as you kind of brush away the dust and grime over it, I don't know what you feel, but you see the name Sylphine. Beloved daughter. Aha! May she find peace at last.
She's not found much peace.
Right,
Anyone else want to do anything exciting while they're here?
Kakara's going to try and open that gate.
Okay.
On the mausoleum.
The gate is incredible. It's unlocked, but it's incredibly rusty, and there is a horrible creak. All of you hear it throughout the graveyard as the gate swings open, and you look into the mausoleum. Kakara, give me a quick perception check.
8.
You notice nothing. Bellin, I notice that you are kind of backing Kakara up there. Do you want to give me a quick perception check?
My +0 modifier to perception. 14.
You notice one of the gargoyles standing atop the mausoleum kind of shift to look down at Kakara.
I'm just going to say, hey, one of these statues moved.
Nah,
probably not a statue.
Hey, gargoyle.
Never a statue.
Yep.
We're just going to assume the best of everyone that we meet.
Yeah.
I'm going to add you to an initiative order, no reason.
And our assumption was wrong.
Well, what do we say about assumptions? Why don't all of you just roll some initiative just for funsies?
Just for funsies, I got a 20.
I got a 17.
I got a number 16.
I got a 23.
So, the gargoyle, and indeed it looks like both gargoyles atop the mausoleum are indeed animated, and but you notice one of them they both flap into the air and make aggressive advances on you as if they are about to swoop down and attack. Let's say, presumably Kakara, but you get a chance to react before this happens because they do it very slowly and very telegraphy in that they rolled a low initiative that all of you get to go before them. Order of combat here will be Kakara, Nyasa, Neural, Townley, Bellin, and my pair of gargoyles. All right. Kakara, you are first.
I, of course, fly up into the air to meet the one that sort of was just above me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can take 2 swipes at this gargoyle with my talons. The first one being 7.
A 7 will not do damage to a stony gargoyle.
And the second is a 13.
A 13 is also not enough to scratch.
So I go up there and I flail uselessly in the air, but I am in the air.
All right.
Well, it's not useless because you're standing next to the gargoyle, which I think means I get a sneak attack.
All right, Kakara, Nyasa, you are next.
Okay. Well, it will surprise no one to learn that I am going to see if psychic blades will hit a stone gargoyle.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me try that. Psychic blades. I rolled an 18.
18 definitely hits. And you are attacking the gargoyle that Kakara is fighting?
Yes, because that should get me bonus sneak attack damage.
Excellent. So your psychic blades hurl through the air and catch the gargoyle in the side.
Yep, and that is going to be, not very good. A 1 plus a 3, 4, but then 2 more d6. 6, 10, and another 6, 16.
Now let me ask you an important question. Is this
Yes.
weapon from a magical weapon or a non-magical weapon?
I believe it to be magical.
It's a brain knife.
It's psychic damage.
Oh, it's psychic damage. That's all
Psychic.
you need. Is the sneak attack damage also psychic damage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's psychic damage. That ends
Brain
my line of
knives.
questioning. What was the final number you said? 16?
16.
All right. I asked because gargoyles resist bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons, which I believe will apply to some of you.
This is
All
why I
right.
brought brain knives.
Brain knives. Neural, you're next. So there is one
but-
guard. Oh, no, Nyasa's not done. Nyasa, you're continuing.
I think I get to do a second attack.
Why?
I get a bonus attack. The special action was the sneak attack, but I believe I get a bonus attack, which is just 1d4. But
Why do you get a bonus attack?
I think he has
What's it-
two-weapon
explain.
fighting.
I specifically have a psychic blades bonus attack.
Oh, psychic blades bonus attack.
Yeah, see-
That's one. A little explanation, a little flavor here.
I'm the word blades implies more than one blade.
Oh, that's true. It's not psychic
All right.
blade.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
It's brain knives, not brain knife. Well, let's see if it works anyway. No, it doesn't. I rolled a 9.
Okay.
Well, 9 plus 5. Would
That will
do
not
anything?
hit.
14?
That is a 14.
Yeah.
Not enough to hit a gargoyle.
Well, good to know.
All right. Neural, you are next. There are 2 gargoyles. Now, these gargoyles, they were perched atop the mausoleum and then kind of were a little bit, I think they just kind of launched themselves into flight, so they're kind of hovering just above it. So it is tricky in that they are, I don't know, they're probably a good 10 feet off the ground.
Okay. I'm going to hurl one of my javelins.
All
Is
right.
it a magical javelin?
Sadly, it is not a magical javelin. And I
Which
rolled
gargoyle are
20.
you targeting?
The one furthest north.
North gargoyle. Okay. What'd you roll?
20.
20 hits. Gargoyle, you get it like right in the wing. It tears like a big hole in its stone wing.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't the damage. That was the hit.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the hit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Damage is 9.
Okay. It will only be 4 because of the gargoyle's stony nature for this half of it. But the gargoyle looks annoyed at you. Anything else, Neural?
Nope, that's it for me.
Is
All
this
right, Townley. I think you are standing over by the grave, so you're a little ways away.
Eldritch Blast has a range of 120 feet, so I'm fine.
Yeah, my graveyard is not 120 feet big.
I'm going to blast left gargoyle, which in this case is the one at the north that Kakara is talking to. 11.
11 doesn't hit. It smacks into the broadside of the mausoleum.
Oh, sorry, mausoleum. I'm going to move behind a tree.
Okay. You take cover behind a tree.
That's all.
Bellin, you are standing next to Kakara when she launched herself in the air to fight these gargoyle menaces that you noticed.
Yeah. Do I notice anything I can climb up on?
You could climb the mausoleum itself.
Okay. I'm going to climb the mausoleum.
All right. Give me a quick athletics check to clamber up the mausoleum. Shouldn't be hard.
Quick athletics. 15?
All right. You are up on the mausoleum. The gargoyles are flapping a little bit above it, but within, axe or mace or whatever type of weapon range you want to hit at melee.
I want to jump on it and try to bring it to the ground.
Okay.
What would that be, like an opposed strength check or something?
Yeah.
My strength is pretty good, but I'm sure. I rolled a 20.
All right, Bellin, you scamper up the mausoleum, get to the kind of pinnacle of the crenellations there. That's a mausoleum word, and just kind of launch yourself like a cannonball at the gargoyle, who I think probably hitting him right in the back as he is distracted by Kakara, and cling to him with all your dwarfy mightness. And your plan is to, and I imagine kind of as a follow through, you and the gargoyle tumble to the ground with you landing on top of the gargoyle.
Yeah, I want to bring it to the ground so that Neural can hit it.
All right.
Oh, I like this plan.
Yeah.
The gargoyle is going to count as grappled by you. I think for hitting the ground, I am going to say that I think a gargoyle for hitting the ground and then being hit by a dwarf, I'm thinking that's like 2d8 damage. That's what I'm thinking.
Great.
Is the ground magical?
No, grit is not magical. But yeah, so the gargoyle is going to take 5 damage, and is pinned under you, such that if anyone who is attacking the gargoyle, you'd have advantage until the gargoyle gets you off. So Belen, that was your turn, right?
Yep.
All right.
I'm happy with that.
Well, I was like,
was
what's
awesome.
will the gargoyles do? So this first gargoyle really, really wants to get out from under you, Belen. So he's gonna do an opposed strength check with you to try and get out. So roll your strength. I'm rolling gargoyle strength. Oh no, I have rolled a 6.
I have a 23.
All right, the gargoyle is pathetically trying to get out. He's not getting anywhere. Given that, he is then going to try and bite you.
Okay.
I have rolled an 8 to bite you.
Yeah, no.
All right, this gargoyle is suddenly felt like it was a fearsome foe, is under a dwarf, and cannot bite you at all.
The spooky land is full of chumps.
Yeah. Well, this other gargoyle is going to swoop down and basically kind of dive bomb you, Belen, trying to rescue his friend. It's going to do a flyby attack and do a bite and a claw on you. Well, I'm feeling much better about these. I've rolled a 22 for the bite attack and a 17 for the claw attack.
Yeah, they both hit.
All right, they take 2 good-sized chunks out of you, 5 damage each, 5 piercing, 5 slashing, 10 damage total, and then that gargoyle kind of launches itself back up in the air and is trying to hover out of reach of all of you surface-dwelling creatures. Kakara, you are still flapping in the air. The gargoyle you were fighting is underneath a dwarf. There is another fresh gargoyle nearby.
I feel like they've got that gargoyle going, so I'm going to go after this one. But this time I'm bringing out my daggers in my talons, which make them a little bit tougher. And I have 2 daggers and 2 claws. Well, we've got a 9 for one and a 13 for another.
You're chipping away at it, but you just can't get in the gargoyle is flapping around. It's using its wings to block and kind of darting left and right, and you are not able to get a piece of that gargoyle.
But I look cool in the air.
Yep. Nyasa Nightweaver, you're kind of standing in the middle of the graveyard. There's a gargoyle in flight nearby you and a gargoyle on the ground beneath your dwarven friend.
I think we're going to try and take out the hopefully somewhat damaged gargoyle that is pinned.
I would go, since you have an attack that works well for something in flight, I would go for that because I don't, and I don't think Neural really does either.
Yeah,
no, my
okay.
best is the javelin.
Yep.
Well, Kakara is helpfully next to the gargoyle, so
Oh, yeah.
I think I get my sneak attack again if I manage to hit. So Psychic Blades seem like a good strategy here. I have rolled a 17.
17 will hit a gargoyle.
Okay, so
As the saying goes.
Classic old-timey, that old chestnut.
I've rolled a 6, a 2, and a 2 plus 3, 13 damage.
13 damage. And it is psychic damage, which the gargoyle can't do anything about.
And then the bonus knife, number 2, 5, 16.
16 will hit. You may be converging on what the armor class of a gargoyle is.
I'm getting there. And that, I think, was...
It's like only a d4 plus something.
I think it's literally just a d4. Okay, but it's a d4. And it's a 3.
All set, Nyasa?
Yeah. I don't
right.
think I can do anything else. I don't think I can...
Neural, you are next. Belen has a gargoyle pinned to the ground right next to you. I would say you have advantage on any attacks to this gargoyle.
All right, well, we're going to use the great axe.
It's okay.
It's great. 21.
That definitely hits. You take a chunk out of the gargoyle.
All right, and 4 points of damage.
Which unfortunately becomes 2 points of damage. Because I assume your great axe is not magical.
No.
It's just...
All right. Townley, you're still up over by Sylphian's grave, but your Eldritch Blast can go anywhere.
I'm going to shoot the flying one.
Yep.
I'm not going to shoot the flying one.
You shoot near the flying one. Yep.
I rolled a 1. I shoot nowhere near the flying one.
Okay.
Just don't hit me.
I don't know.
Bellin.
Do we want to blow our charm of heroism thing on these guys?
No.
I felt like no.
Yeah. I think these are just the
It
guards.
can't be the big bad. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bellin, you have a gargoyle beneath you. I think you can attack it, right?
Okay. Yep. Do I get advantage?
I'm gonna say no because
because I'm grappling.
Yeah, I think other people do.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna tell me I'm interpreting the rules incorrectly, but that seems like my improvisation is that you're kind of busy, like you've got your like left hand is holding it in place, and you can smack it with your right hand or vice versa.
That seems reasonable to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a 16.
All right,
with
that
my
hits.
Warhammer. Alrighty, so that's 11 points of non-magical damage.
Non-magical damage. I'm going to turn that into 5 points of damage.
Okay,
but the
but
good news is this gargoyle is, I mean, it doesn't have blood, but it's it's chipped.
chippied.
Yeah.
And I, as a fighter, have 2-weapon fighting, so I'm also going to hit it with my Morning Star.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 22 to hit, so I feel like I did pretty well.
Smash,
with that.
smash.
And I rolled a 4. He's wiggly. It's a little hard to get a really
Yeah,
good
it's
hit,
hard
but-
to get a good hit on a gargoyle when you're
Yeah.
when you're the one pinning it to the ground.
Yeah. But
So you've done some damage to it.
doing okay. And yeah, I want to just keep holding it down if I can.
All right. The gargoyles are next. The first, we'll go with the gargoyle who's in flight. It's up there with Kakara. It tilts its head back and lets loose an unearthly scream. And then it tries to bite and claw you, Kakara. Bite attack is a 19. I feel good about that. Claw attack is a 9.
I don't.
So bite...
the first hits.
Mm-hmm. So the gargoyle just tears a chunk out of you, 5 piercing damage.
Kakara lets out a screech herself when it gets bit.
All right. The other one is still underneath Bellin. It's going to try pathetically to try and get out. I think Bellin is going to be able to hold it in place unless it gets really lucky. Bellin, quick strength check. Gargoyle
21?
has rolled 16. I was feeling good about 16, but it is not as good as 21. So that said, it's going to try and scratch you and bite you. Critical fail, and a 7 is not going to do anything to Bellin. You are just holding it in place. So the gargoyle is not a very effective turret. However, that gargoyle let out that horrible scream, and you hear other weird noises coming from other corners of the graveyard, and the sound of creatures approaching, scratching and climbing across the gravestones, coming over the fences and joining the fray. There are ghouls headed at you from almost every direction. Will these ghouls be fodder that you quickly tear your way through, or will this be a signal that perhaps you shouldn't just lay down in the first grave that you find? For answers to questions such as these, tune in next time to Total Party Kill.